okay, so I'm going to show you some of the photographs that I created. So this first photograph is of Francesco, who decides that he wants to spend his life caring for others and not accumulating material things. So he decides to just throw away the clothes that his father gave him and live the life of a man in poverty to help others. The second photograph is of Francesco when he's living in extreme poverty and he's living in caves and he's seeking God's strength to continue his mission of helping others. In this photograph, he is imagining marrying a woman that he calls Lady Poverty. And the reason why he does this is so he can denounce all other temptations of female companionship. And in this photograph, Lady Poverty is whispering into his ear words of encouragement and advice. This is my favorite, because in this photograph, Francesco carried with him a skull. And the skull was to remind him that life is short, and while we're here on earth, we need to have an opportunity to help others. So the skull reminded him that someday he would die, and he needed to find a way to always remind himself that he needs to do as much as he can. So the skull reminded him of that. And I have him looking at you and asking you, are you fulfilling your life? Are you doing things for others? Are you helping others? In this photograph, it's a very tender scene because Francesco was living in extreme poverty. He was hungry, he was thirsty, and his mother sees him and brings him up to her house to give him some nourishment. And this is a tender moment of a mother taking care of her son. So in this photograph, Francesco spent the first 22 years of his life somewhat playing with gambling and drinking, and when he decided to help others, he realized that he needed to have a penitence. He needed to, in the eyes of God, to be forgiven for the things that he did earlier in his life. So this photograph is reflecting his desire to have God understand that he's a penitent man. So Francesco cared for many people, and lepers in those days would put bells on their shoes and bells on their canes to warn people that they were coming because they had leprosy. But Francesco, rather than moving away, chose to hug this man and to take care of lepers. So he spent many years of his life helping individuals such as this man. This photograph is early on in his decision to live this life of poverty, but it was difficult. It was very difficult. And he, in the early years, struggled to keep to his mission of helping others. So he was determined to keep going in spite of how difficult it was for him to live this life. This photograph is a metaphor. So you see three figures here. The woman is Saint Clare, Sister Clare. The man below is Brother Leo, who took care of Francesco. And this is Francesco holding the shield as a metaphor to protect his two best friends from the temptations of life. And the last photograph is called Grief. So Francesco is dying, and with him, and this is in 1226 in October, and with him is Sister Clare, who loved him as a friend and as a man she respected, Brother Leo, who helped him through his life, and then there's Brother Elias, who realized that there was an opportunity once Francesco passed away and become a saint, that many pilgrims would come to Assisi and much money could be raised to build churches and other things for the Catholic church. The interesting thing about this photograph is when Francesco died, he wanted to be on a stone floor, he wanted a rock for a pillow, and he wanted to leave the earth completely nude. In this photograph, we don't have that, but we do have him with his friends and holding the cross as he leaves the earth. And that's the story of Francesco.